So Marina Mabrey has responded to everything that's going on.
Marina Mabrey just looked like she was just unhinged out there after looking at this, man.
The intense clash between the Connecticut Sun and Indiana Fever spiraled into total madness, an absolute spectacle. 6 technical fouls, 3 ejections, 2 flagrant calls, all packed into one chaotic evening. But amid that frenzy, one jaw-dropping moment lit up the internet. Fans grabbed popcorn, took sides, and the drama exploded online. Marina Mabrey stunned everyone by blatantly shoving Caitlin Clark to the floor, an aggressive move that came out of nowhere. Shockingly, she wasn't thrown out. In contrast, Sophie Cunningham got ejected on the spot without hesitation. Viewers quickly pointed out the glaring double standard and called the league out for the inconsistency. This all happened right after what's now being dubbed WNBA Fight Night. Sophie Cunningham locked up JCS Sheldon in a near wrestling hold, while Marina Mabrey took direct aim at Clark. And just when fans thought they couldn't be more outraged, wait till you hear Mabrey's reaction after the game. Do you believe the league should take serious disciplinary action and suspend Mabrey? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to show your love and support. And here's the wild part. If the officials had simply ejected Marina Mabrey right after the shove, none of the rest might have happened. No escalation, no Cunningham fallout, just a clear-cut decision. But they didn't. Instead, once the chaos settled, the WNBA silently upgraded Mabrey's foul to a flagrant 2. No official press release, no media statement, just a quiet little line buried on the league's website. Which leads us to a bigger question. How did the referees miss it in real time? And why did it take a full-blown social media firestorm for the league to step in? Even more puzzling, will Marina Mabrey finally face a suspension? During the broadcast, commentators strongly implied that she should. 4 players were fined for their actions that night. But the officials? They stood by their call. That's what's most unsettling. In their post-game report, the referees stated, "The contact initiated by Mabrey did not warrant an ejection. Furthermore, it failed to meet the criteria of a flagrant 2. So, they issued a technical." That's it. Stay with us because we're about to dive deeper into how the league ended up reversing its own referees and whether that decision was justice or just added more fuel to the fire. Oh, and let's not forget the final 46 seconds, where this all really ignited, when Sophie Cunningham delivered a hard foul on JCS Sheldon. That play may have just been the tipping point that turned tension into full-on chaos. She's thrown out. JC's tossed too. And yeah, even Lindsay gets ejected. But as the game unfolded, even the live broadcast crew called it out plainly. If Marina Mabrey had been ejected right away, none of this would have gone down. Let's not sugarcoat it. That was a blindside hit at full speed. Caitlin Clark never even saw it coming. She was simply locked into the game, focused, head turned, and then boom. Marina Mabrey bulldozed her straight to the hardwood. It wasn't just physical, it felt personal. The crowd, instant chaos, the commentators, shocked. Everyone, from fans to players, assumed it was a clear flagrant 2, possibly even an immediate ejection. But instead, Mabrey just received a routine technical and continued playing like nothing had happened. The reaction was instant and intense. Broadcasters were speechless, players were outraged, and fans, they absolutely lost it. Earlier in the game, Clark had already taken a poke to the eye. Then, out of nowhere, Mabrey, who wasn't even part of the play, charged in and flattened her. And the referees? They looked at it and somehow concluded, nope, not worth an ejection. Watch the footage closely. Clark is nowhere near the ball. Mabrey's action wasn't even close to a defensive move. She charged across the court, made direct contact with Clark's upper body, and threw her off balance. Then, to add fuel to the fire, Caitlin pushed back. Referees labeled that unsportsmanlike. And just like that, the narrative got flipped. Within minutes, the clip went viral. Social media exploded. Thousands asked the same thing. How is Marina Mabrey still on the court? What game are the referees watching? And this outrage wasn't just coming from Caitlin Clark supporters. It was neutral fans, retired players, analysts, everyone. The overwhelming opinion was clear. The referees had completely lost control of the situation. To make it worse, when comparing the other calls that night, the inconsistency was glaring. Sophie Cunningham got ejected immediately for a rough play that didn't even come close to what Mabrey did. From another angle, it's obvious. JC Sheldon wasn't anywhere near the ball either, and yet that play got a swift reaction. So why didn't Mabrey's? This wasn't just a missed call. It felt like a message. And for many fans, it raised a much bigger concern. Is the league protecting certain players, or just failing to protect the integrity of the game? She literally smacks Caitlin Clark in the face. Just look at it. If you're following my pointer here, sorry I can't zoom in, you can clearly see the ball is way over here, a good 3 feet away from Caitlin's head. And yet, Marina Mabrey's eyes aren't on the ball at all. She goes straight for the face. There's no way to spin it. She deliberately lunged at Clark's head. This wasn't a swipe at the ball, not a mistimed play. It was a direct shot. Watch the footage again. Mabrey charges in with zero hesitation, full intent. No gray area, no misreading. Just a full-on targeted lunge toward Clark's face. And yet, somehow, Sophie Cunningham got tossed immediately, while Mabrey, who clearly committed a far more reckless and dangerous act, was allowed to keep playing. The imbalance was impossible to ignore. I mean, how else can you explain this? Mabrey attacks Clark's face, and when Clark tries to walk away, Mabrey body checks her with a full belly bump. By the way, the whole narrative about Caitlin shoving JCS Sheldon? Watch it closely. Caitlin barely touches her, and Sheldon keeps walking forward unaffected. It's obvious Sheldon initiated the contact. And out of nowhere, here comes Mabrey charging in. Again. The reaction was instant. Fans couldn't believe what they were watching. Some even joked, are the refs spinning a wheel to decide calls now? Because if there were any consistent standard being used, there's no chance Mabrey finishes that game. But the inconsistency didn't stop at the final whistle. Nope. That's when the WNBA's quiet cleanup job began. The league later released a quiet statement. Marina Mabrey's technical from last night's Sun vs. Fever game has been upgraded to a flagrant 2. Yup, after the fact. The league also told ESPN that this type of foul meets the standard for a fine-worthy flagrant 2. Oh, and Sophie Cunningham? She was fined too, for her foul in the final 46 seconds. Let's call it what it is, a retroactive admission that the officials blew it. Had they made that call correctly during the game, Mabrey would have been ejected on the spot. No debate. No delay. Fans took that late game update as proof. The officiating crew completely dropped the ball. Not just a missed call, but a full-blown meltdown. People are now demanding Sophie Cunningham be suspended, and Mabrey's social media is flooded with comments. The pressure isn't slowing down. The league later confirmed what fans already knew. Mabrey's shove met the definition of excessive and unnecessary force. And now, the WNBA is trying to clean it up after the damage has already been done. Alright, cool. But why wasn't that crystal clear in real time? The referees had the perfect vantage point. No obstructions, no excuses. Honestly, even someone half watching with one eye shut could tell that hit crossed the line. And that brings up a much bigger question. Was this just a single blown call? Or is the WNBA facing a full-on officiating meltdown? It's honestly exhausting to witness the double standards, especially when it involves the Indiana Fever. The same voices, media personalities, social media users, and yes, even if social media isn't supposed to count, it clearly leaks into mainstream narratives. We're calling last season physical basketball. But now, suddenly, they're demanding Sophie Cunningham be kicked out of the league for doing things that were excused a year ago, until the Fever did them. And this isn't about one play. Let's not forget, Caitlin Clark got slapped with a technical foul just for reacting after getting clawed in the eye. Sophie Cunningham was fined and called out for a foul that was nowhere near as dangerous or deliberate as Mabrey's hit. Every call felt like it was being pulled from a different rule book. Had Marina Mabrey been ejected when she should have been, the entire game would have taken a different turn. But instead, the officials let it slide, only for the league to try patching things up once the backlash hit. You can't come out after the fact and suddenly say, actually, it should have been a flagrant 2. Maybe we should have handled that differently. That correction needed to happen in the moment, on the court. Own the call when it matters, not after catching heat. Now, everyone's asking the same question. How are players and fans supposed to trust the officiating when the rules seem to change by the minute? The gap between what refs decide live and what the league changes afterward is getting wider and fast. And the worst part? Even the referees and the league don't agree on what counts as a flagrant foul anymore. That's not just inconsistent. That's a full-on crisis of trust. So let's get to the core of it. Who's really at fault here? The on-court officials making live decisions? Or the league office, swooping in days later only after public outrage forces their hand? All eyes quickly turned to referee Ashley Gloss, who after the final buzzer gave her explanation. According to her, Marina Mabrey's shove didn't qualify for a flagrant 2 or warrant an ejection. So Mabrey stayed in the game and walked away with just a technical. Gloss stood firm, stating, "The contact by Mabrey did not rise to the level of an ejection." And just like that, the game moved on. But the controversy didn't. It didn't even take 24 hours for the WNBA to backtrack on its own officiating crew. What was initially deemed not worthy of a flagrant 2 suddenly was. Quietly and without a major announcement, the league elevated Marina Mabrey's foul to a flagrant 2. That reversal didn't just correct a call, it exposed a glaring contradiction. And now, the obvious question echoes. How does a hit go from nothing serious to ejection-worthy violence in just a few hours? When the league dropped its statement confirming the change, social media erupted. Clips went viral with captions like, "What were the refs even looking at?" Fans and analysts alike were left scrambling, trying to make sense of the complete breakdown in judgment. And this wasn't just about Ashley Gloss's crew. This was about the league itself. Is the WNBA truly applying standards? Or are they just responding to public outrage? Are we watching a system that self-corrects, or one that reacts to viral clips and fan pressure? Let's be honest. These referees looked completely lost. They needed a crash course in officiating. And while everyone waited for clarity, it felt like an eternity passed before they finally addressed the situation. And it wasn't like this game was smooth sailing to begin with. 6 technicals, 3 ejections, and non-stop hard fouls. A powder keg from start to finish. But the weirdest call of all? Caitlin Clark being slapped with a technical foul. For what? Reacting instinctively after being poked in the eye and bumped during a dead ball by JCS Sheldon? According to the officials, after Sheldon's foul, Clark responded in an unsportsmanlike manner. Seriously, how does a natural reaction to getting clawed in the eye end in a tech, while a deliberate blindside shove by Mabrey doesn't even warrant a flagrant in real time? Then there's Sophie Cunningham's ejection, a classic hard foul, but it came with an immediate toss and a post-game fine. Compare that to Mabrey's hit, which was more dangerous, more intentional, and somehow got downgraded in the moment, only for the league to quietly bump it up later. And honestly, I'm still questioning Sophie's flagrant. That looked like a standard take foul. I mean, don't act like you haven't seen players literally grab LeBron James by both arms trying to stop him. He fights through it, finishes the play, and nobody screams flagrant. That's the kind of inconsistency that fans can't ignore. One player gets tossed for a physical foul. Another sticks around after a blatant cheap shot. And the result? The growing trust gap between referees, players, coaches, and fans. When officiating varies this wildly within the same game, you've got to ask, who's actually in control here? Because as long as referees are allowed to run the game unchecked, making calls based on impulse and escaping accountability, nothing's going to improve. Not now. Not ever. Yes, referees are under pressure. They're making split-second calls in front of tens of thousands live, and hundreds of thousands more watching from home. But pressure doesn't excuse bad judgment. Gloss later defended her call, saying Mabrey's shove didn't meet the standard for a flagrant. But when you watch it back, it's textbook. Let's not forget the context either. This was a high-stakes game with Commissioner's Cup implications, Caitlin Clark's rising stardom, and an already chaotic trail of texts. But none of that justifies such a blatant misread. Officiating integrity isn't just a catchphrase, it's the backbone of fair competition.